Hey everybody, it's been a little while, but things are relatively back to normal. In the inner sanctum sense, yes, way more so than the societal sense, one could say. But anyway, let's get back to the topic du jour, and that would be 10 Tunes series continued. And this episode's going to be about Roxy Music, one of my top bands that I have enjoyed for quite a few years now, and very fortunate to see them in several incarnations. Of course, not way back when, but it's a couple decades ago. My first time seeing them live was on the Manifesto tour, and that was like a real highlight. And the ironic thing is probably that when I was first introduced to them really and got into them, it was about, half a week, if not like a day after they played in New York on the Siren tour, which I would have loved to have seen, but that's the way it goes. And, but this is more of a deep dive. I mean, some of these top 10 tunes things I do, they probably read and sound like a greatest hits, but since I'm so familiar with their catalog, I would consider this more of a deep dive. But some of the songs, might have wound up on compilations or best ofs or what have you. So we have, in no specific order, and do what works best for you. Do the legwork, do the ear work, do the mind work, and do the brain work, and assemble your own playlist and listen further if the need arises. But here we go. Remake, remodel. First track off of their first album, a great introduction to the band. And as things pop into my head, I'll just say little additional tidbits that relate to the Roxy verse. And that is rest in peace, Pete Sinfield, producer of the first album by Roxy. And, of course, a lyricist for King Crimson. Another component of the King Crimson connection. And, a solo artist in his own right. I remember way back having, or at least listening to his solo album. It might be only one or two of them. But anyway. Okay, next we have 2HB, which has been alluded to in, other songs. And there's cover versions out there and all that. I really love the treatments and the deconstruction on the couple years now ago Record Store Day double 12-inch. Well worth seeking out. Then next we have Strictly Confidential off of the For Your Pleasure album. I believe it's track 3 on side A. If you're a vinyl nut, it's track 3 no matter what, but fantastic. It's kind of a deep track, deep cut. Really amazing, rarely performed live. Then we have Sentimental Fool, and that is off the Siren album. And I gotta say, if you're listening to Sentimental Fool, of course you're gonna do the segue transition from End of the Line into Sentimental Fool. Why not, right? Then I would say A Really Good Time off of Country Life. Again, a deep cut, not that well known, but it was one of the songs that they did on their Midnight Special appearance. And next, I would say Manifesto, the album version, the title cut. And, the single version has an abbreviated opening, and on the video, I think it's called On the Road or something. The opening song that they do is Manifesto from the tour of the same name. And it's kind of a very, not altogether abbreviated opening, but there's some great kind of swirling, mesmerizing interplay and jamming in the beginning. And I used to like that section leading up into Ryan's vocals more than maybe most. But then we have Casanova. I'm just going to say, I don't know which came first, chronology-wise. The version that appears on Brian's solo album, the Let's Stick Together solo album, because that may be a reworking. But I prefer the country life version. A lot more lively and dramatic. Then off of the Stranded album, we have the song Just Like You. Kind of a ballad and, a fantastic song. A fantastic song. And then I would follow that up with, of course not, if you're doing your own little playlist, Beauty Queen, second song, side A, or whatever, second song on the For Your Pleasure album. Again, a great vocal performance by Brian. And kind of a mesmerizing, there's that word again, sound to it. I would say overall it's just got this, maybe it's a lot of Brian Eno processing and treating sounds and things like that. And then I'm going to say Trash 2. Now Trash 2 is the B-side. It's a very lethargic, slowed down version of the song Trash from the first side of Manifesto album. If you haven't heard it, seek it out. And if you want to do a little comparison, just think the original album version, very upbeat and quick, fast-paced, and the B-side, the Trash 2 B-side of the single, very slowed down. Okay, honorable mention. I just have one listed here, but I'm going to say The Bogus Man, a couple honorable mentions here. The Bogus Man, off the For Your Pleasure album, that gets derided, looked over, misunderstood by a lot of people. It's a grower, okay? You can't expect a song like that to get you on the first lesson. But just give it time. Got to get into that groove. Just ride it out into, appropriately enough, The Sunset. And Sunset would be another honorable mention song. Okay? Very overlooked and underrated. It's such a perfect fitting, quiet album finale for the Stranded album that I'm sure, a lot of people just not forget its existence, but it doesn't spring to mind easily if somebody's assembling a Roxy 10-track must-listen list. And then finally, you got to be in the mood for this. It's like an electronic drone tune. It was the B-side to the Love is the Drug single, and it's called Sultanesque. And, at the time, people were probably like, oh, this is that typical strategy of making a song that's so confounding or, obscure or something that it forces people to keep revisiting the A-side, the intended hit single. And time has, this song has aged very well. Very droney, very buzzy, very electronic, way ahead of its time. Way ahead of its time. I would love to hear some people that do electronic music remixes and things, Jack Dangers, Echoplex, people that ilk, re-deconstruct it. Hey, will another new studio album ever come from Roxy Music? Probably not. Probably not at this point. But I welcome these unique Record Store Day releases, as well as super deluxe editions of For Your Pleasure and every album after that. Let's sure something can be gathered together. All right, peace, everybody. Stay calm, and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.